Today, yes, we will focus on integration, differentiation, and computing the integral of certain functions. And we'll also see how to create a small function. So start a new file. And as usual, put these two, import numpy as np and import matplotlib as plt. Please put these two lines, and then we'll continue. Please type in those two lines. Please type in these two lines. Yes. So as a first example, let us try to plot the sum of two signals. Maybe sum of two signals is what we'll take up as a first example. Sum of two signals. Let's take up sum of two signals as our first example. And let us say my signal, we need to define time. T is, let us say, np dot linspace 0, 2, 100. And let us say x1. X1 is it's a np dot sine 2 pi t, sine 2 pi t. This is just for easy visibility, and in case we go wrong, it will help us. And let us say x2. X2 is, say, np dot cos 2 pi t. Let us take this one. Let us try to plot the signal. Plt dot plot x1. We want to plot it as t comma x1 as one signal. Then plt dot plot t comma x2 as another signal. And the third signal is, say, plt dot plot t comma x1 plus x2. x1 plus x2. Please try and let us see what's the result we get. We are just trying to do sum of two signals. Sum of two signals. Let us try to do it, and let us see the result. I've just taken sine, I've taken a cos, and I'm trying to add sine and cos. And let us see how it is. By default, everything will come. And if you want give the label also, label. The first one is a sine function. The second one is a cosine function. And the third one is sine plus, or we'll simply put it as sum of the signals. And then we want, it is good to have the grid. So let us have the grid. We want the legend. So let's have the legend as well. So let's run this and see. I need to first run my cell. So only after running my import, then only I can run my program. Yes, so I forgot to run the first two lines. So without running that, it will not work because we are using the functions defined in NumPy and Matplot. That is why I got the error because I did not run the cell. Now let us see the result. This is what we have. Now, how do we know which is the sum of the two signals? We got three waveforms, and the green one is sum. So I want to highlight green, let us say. So then I want to make it a little thicker. So I will just put line width equal to 5. Then what happens? The LW stands for line width. You can type complete line width, otherwise LW equal to 5. So it's going to be make it thicker. So let's run the same code. And now what happens? See, now the sum is fat and is thicker. So I know that I am adding a sine wave and a cosine wave, and this is what I get. I get as a sum. And get as a sum, and I have made it little prominent by making it little thicker. Have you done it? Have you done it? Did you all get this output? Yes. 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 What I'm doing is I am just typing in. I'm having my signal x1, and then I'm having my signal x2. Time we have defined it. X1 is sine 2 pi t. X2 is cos 2 pi t. And then I'm plotting. I'm sure there is no problem in this plot function. The third plot, what I have done is x1 plus x2. X1 plus x2, and I'm trying to give them some name. I want to make this little prominent because three waveforms. I do not know which is which. So suppose I want to make it little thicker. So I add this after in any order you can add. I'm making the line width as 5, so that I get it clear that okay, these are the two signals which got added, and after adding I got it. Is it done? Is it done? Okay. Okay. Yes. So now let's this was one example, sum of two signals. Now we will instead of having, let's take one more example of sum. I'll just copy this signal, copy that, and let me paste it in another cell. Sum of two signals only, but I'm going to please watch out what I'm doing. Let us say sum of a sinusoid sine with the DC. So x2 is, let us say, I am adding a constant value of 4, and then I am plotting x1 and x2, and I will not have this line now. So I am just going to have x1, and what is x2? It's a sine plus a DC. And how much is the DC value I've given? I've given 4. Please run and see what happens to the plot now. I am having a sine wave. To the sine wave, I am adding a DC value. I'm adding a constant. I'm adding a sine and a constant, 4. Please run it and see what happens. What happens? Are we getting a shift in the sine function? Let's run it. Sorry, x2. Yes, I cannot plot a constant because to plot both t and x2 should be of the same dimension. So now x1 is a signal, x2 is 4 plus x1, and then when I plot it, I should get a, see what has happened now. This is my original sine wave. This is my sine wave plus DC. What happened? The whole sine wave has got shifted by a constant. So when I give a DC shift, this is what happens. Sometimes in our signal generators in the lab, we will give a DC shift to the sine wave. And suppose you want the shifted signal to be prominent, you just make the line width a little thicker. Say line width equal to 4. So I'll make it little thicker. So let's run it. So I know now this was my original signal, and this is my signal with the DC shift. With the DC shift. DC shift. Now let's take up one more example. Now I will add, let us say, three sine waves, two sine waves. Once again, let us add the two sine waves. I'll take the same signal. I'll take the same cell and let me copy it. Once again, sum of sinusoids only. I'll keep it as sum of sinusoids. But now what I'll do is my x1 is sine 2 pi t. Let me make x2 as let us say 0.33 into sine let us say 6 pi t. Please note this is also this also is a sine, but of a higher frequency and a different amplitude. And then I'm plotting x1 and I'm giving the sum this way. See now what is my first signal? First signal is NP sine. Second signal is 0.33 times sine, and my frequency is like this. So let me make it more clear. Frequency equal to 1 and amplitude equal to 1. This is my first. Here, what is the frequency for x2? Can someone tell me what's the frequency for x2 and what is the amplitude of x2? Can someone tell me what is the frequency of the signal x2 and what is the amplitude of the signal x2? Please look at the signal 1 by 3 sine 6 pi t. What is the frequency and what is the amplitude? Yes. What's the frequency? Yes, amplitude is 1 by 3. Very good. And what's the frequency? Frequency is 3. Frequency is 3. And now let us plot. Let us plot it and let us see the result. Okay. See the first one, blue color is the first waveform. The next waveform is little smaller in amplitude. And this is what we got. Now let me put one more term. Let me put one more term, x3. Let us say x3. And please watch out here. x3, magnitude is say 1 by 5. This is 1 by 5. And let me plot plus x3. Plus x3. Now tell me what you're getting. What are you getting? x1 plus x2 plus x3 I plot. What do I get? How is the result? And let us say I don't plot x1. I don't plot x2. I don't plot x1. I don't plot x2. I simply plot x1 plus x2 plus x3. Let me run it. How is it? How is it? Did you all get this? If you have got it, please say yes. Please type in yes. Yes. Good, good. Now, can someone tell me if I put one more x4, what do you think will my x4 be? What will be x4? What will be the magnitude? What will be the magnitude of x4? And let us say I also put one more x5. I put x5 also. This is just for fun. We are just adding, but we will see something nice. So I'm going to add x3 plus x4 plus x5, and I'm not plotting the individual signals. I'm simply plotting the sum. And tell me what is the result you're getting. Have you got this result? If I add another in the same manner, if I keep on adding another 10 terms, what do you think I will get? Imagine I run the series, I keep on adding some more terms, and let us say I add another x6, x7, x8, x9, etc. And if I add and if I watch, what do you think this waveform is tending to? What do you think it will become? Any guess? If I add some more terms to the summation, what do you think this waveform will become? I'm just adding. Yes, yes, it is going to become, or let us see. Let us just see. See, I run it with one term. This is what I got. Then I run it with say plus x2, and then this is what I got. Then I run it with x3 and see what I get. Then I run it with x4. This is what I get. Plus say x5. I have defined only till x5. And you saw, and as someone has mentioned, it's likely to become a square wave as we add it. It is just a specific example I have taken, but the theory and the mathematics behind this we will see later. Okay, now let's take up one more example. I want you to plot an exponentially decaying sinusoid. Exponentially decaying sinusoid. Once again, define T. Define T as np dot linspace 0 comma 0 comma, let us say 5 comma 100, and let us say my x1 x1 is say np dot sine 2 np dot pi t, and let us take x2 x2 is say np dot exp exponential function of minus t. And what is my signal now? I want to plot plt dot plot t comma x1. Then I plot plt dot plot t comma x2. Then I want an exponentially decaying sinusoid. What should I plot now? T comma. I want an exponentially decaying sinusoid. So what should I put here? Is it x1 plus x2 or x1 into x2? Multiply both. Yes. So x1 into x2. And let us see what happens now. So I'm defining my signal x1, I'm defining x2, and I'm going to plot the product. So let us see, and let us make the product a little thicker. So let me make the width as say 4, so that I know what is the product and the other two signals will come. So this is, yeah, I did not put x1. So can we see it? I have my sinusoidal signal, I have my exponential signal, and I have my exponentially decaying sinusoid. And it is good to put the grid always. This is the grid. Is that fine? So we again come across this signal and exponentially decaying sinusoid in many circuits. Second order systems will come across this signal, and hence it's good to see how it looks like. I have the exponential function, I have the sine wave, and then it is this way. Yes. So let's take up another exam. Now we are going to see a small concept, and that is how to define a function. How to define a function. What's a function? So if I define a function, I can keep calling it often, and I can use it a number of times later on. So once I write a function to do a small computation, then I can call it again and again. I can use it. So now here we are using NumPy library. Suppose I want to use some function and I want to define it myself. So let us take a simple example. Let us say the format is, it starts with def, def. Def means it's a function we are defining, and whatever name we want to give. Let us say we want to give degree to radian. And suppose I want to write a function for converting degrees to radians. What should it accept? It should accept degrees. It will accept degrees, it will convert it to radians and give me the output. And please remember to terminate it by a colon. And then how do I convert? What is my radians now? How do I get radians from degrees? What should I multiply it by? I want to write a function which will do a conversion from degrees to radians. So I want to convert degrees to radians. So what should I multiply it by? Yes, pi and divide it by 180. Good. So I divide by 180. I have the conversion, and now whenever I call this function, it should give me the result. So the keyword is return. Return. And what should it return? Radians. It should return radians. So I will please remember one indent, at least one indent. I like to keep as 2 indents. So whatever all commands are executed, and whatever we put here in return will get returned. So just run it. You will not get any output here because we have not called the function. Sorry. This is the format. Def, whatever name you want to give. This is a function which will take in degrees and convert and give it in terms of radians. So let us run this code. So it has worked. It has run. It has not given any error. Of course, we will not know. So now let us call this function. Let us say degrees. Degrees is say. Let us say I have 180 degrees. My degrees is 180, and then I want to convert it to radians. And what is my radians? Degree to radians, and I need to give my input as degrees, and then it needs to print the result, and that is in radians. So I'm taking some value. I'm taking my degree as 180 degrees, and then I am calling my function which I have defined, degree to radians, giving the input as degrees and getting the output as radians, and I want to see the result. What's the answer we are expecting when we run this? Let us see whether the function works. Is 180 degrees equal to pi? Did we get a right answer? Did we get the right answer? Yes, we have got the right answer. Let us say I give 360 degrees. 360 degrees, what is 360 degrees? 2 pi. So let us see whether we get the right answer. We got 2 pi. So this is a very simple example, and you may wonder why should I write a function for this conversion? But I just want to introduce to the concept of writing a function, because often in programming we will have the need to write a function, and to use it. Similarly, please write the function for, I want you to write, please tell me, suppose I want to have, a function that does, that computes the sign. Or okay, just the reverse. Converts radians to degrees. Please write this program. Please write this program. So I want radian. Of course, the Python is already having the inbuilt function. We have seen that. Radian to degrees, and what will it accept? It will accept radians, and it will give out degrees. So what is my answer? Degrees. It's going to give out degrees. And how do I get the degrees? I need to convert the radians. I need to multiply it by 180 and divide it by pi, and then it should return degrees. So this is a function which will take in radians and give out degrees. I'm multiplying it by 180 by pi. Let's run it. And let's call the function. I will directly put print radian to degrees, radian to degree. And what's the radian I want to give? np dot pi by 4. And let us see what's the answer we get. I'm giving the input as pi by 4, and let us see what's the result we get. 45 degrees. So this program has got executed, and we got the result pi by 4. Have we got it? Has everyone got it? Yes, we want some more answers. I'm not teaching for one student here. I have more students. Please respond. Did you get it? Do you want me to repeat? Don't tell at the end of the class was fast. Yeah, stop in between, ask me to repeat if required, we'll repeat it. Yes, now I want you to write. Please write yourself a function to compute factorial of a number. Please write a function to compute the factorial of a number. Write a function to compute factorial of a number. Yes. So a function to compute factorial of a number. So what will it be? Let us say factorial of a given number. Then what do? I will initialize my factorial to 1. Then for n in range n plus 1. What is fact? Fact is equal to fact into n. And then I return yeah, here Shashank has written a very efficient code. Yes, thank you. So now let us see whether this works. I will run it and then print my factorial of, let us say, 5. And let's run it. Oh. Let's run it. And then see, I had to avoid 0. So that is why initially I did not get the right answer, and now I get the right answer. Factorial of 5 is 120. 120. So this is one way of doing it. We'll have many different methods of doing the same problem, same activity. Is it right? Have you done it? Shashank, I think you have used an okay. Okay, yeah, fine. Can we proceed? Can we proceed? So we have now seen how to define small functions so that it makes computation easy. Now I want you to define a function, the function that for define a function for generating the Gaussian function, the Gaussian distribution. Please do this. Write a function to generate the Gaussian distribution. Write a function to generate the Gaussian distribution. Write a function to generate the Gaussian distribution. Yes. Please see whether this is right. You can try yourself, otherwise this is one way of doing it. I am having a function to create the Gaussian distribution. What will it accept? It will accept mu and sigma, and it will also accept x. And just to make it easy, I'm taking the constant. You know what is the function? 1 by sigma root of 2 pi, and then that gets multiplied by e to the power of x minus mu whole square by sigma square. And then there is a 2. So this is what I have, my Gaussian function. Have you done this? Have you done this? Please type in these values. Please type in this a function to generate the Gaussian distribution. And then have you done this? The 3 lines, have you typed in? Is it working? Is it working? And once I have this, what is this? This my Gaussian is a function which accepts mu, sigma, and x and computes the Gaussian distribution, and it is going to return the Gaussian distribution. Now let us use the function. Let us use the function. Look at this cell here. I'm using the function here. I'm defining my x in the range of -9 to +9. And I'm calling my first Gaussian function as -2 and 1. So this is a mu. Mu is my -2 and 1 is my sigma. Next time again I'm calling the same Gaussian function, but now I am having mean and sigma as 0 and 2. Third time I'm calling the same function with 2 and 3. And then I'm trying to plot all of them. And since I need to distinguish, this is a way of writing n mu comma sigma. So mu is -2, sigma is 1. This is a standard notation for representing any Gaussian distribution. So this is what we have. This is what we have, and I put a legend and I put the title. Please run it and show me the result. Please show me the result. Please share it on the phone. If you get the result, please show the result on the phone. Please take a screenshot and share it in the group. Not group, send it individual. Yes, are you doing this? Did you write the function for generating the Gaussian distribution? And are you trying this? Please type in the code. Please type in the code. You want me to show the earlier function? This is what we had. Are you doing? Anyone has got the result? Did you get the three Gaussian curves? Did you get the three Gaussian curves? When we run it, this is what we get. Just see the first Gaussian curve with the mean -2 and sigma 1. The second Gaussian curve with 0 mean and sigma 2. The third Gaussian curve with a mean 2 and a standard deviation of 3. So it is just to get used to drawing, defining a function and calling it. The first example that we took, degree to radian, radian to degree, was very easy. There we don't need to define a function. But here, if I'm speaking of probability distribution function, the Gaussian curve, this is what I want. Has anyone tried and got it? Are you doing or no? I'm not getting any response. Are you trying it or okay, doing it? Fine. I'll wait for you. Please. So this I'm sharing the complete screen, and then you can try playing with different numbers. You can try. Okay, I got a photo. Yes. Yes, very good. Very good. I don't know who has sent it, but good. Good. Just try changing mu and sigma and see what happens. Can you tell me for a mean 0 and a sigma 1, what is the maximum value? What's the maximum value? And if you just go to Google and type Gaussian distribution, you will see some curves like this only on the. So now we have generated the curves ourselves. Anyone doing? Please do and then share the result. You want me to wait for some more time? You want me to wait for some more time? You have any doubt in any line? Got it? Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Abhinav. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can proceed. Okay. You have understood. So that is fine. So let's proceed. So anyway, you know that I'll be sharing the code. So that must be another reason. Yes, I'll share the code and you can go through the program. So this is nice. So now let's take up how to create a uniform distribution. We saw the uniform distribution. What is uniform? So it takes in A and B, and if x is less than A or it is greater than, if x is greater than A and less than B, then if it lies in the range of A to B, then we are going to give the value of 1 by B minus A, and otherwise it is going to be 0. So outside it's going to be 0. So this is a function to create the uniform distribution. This is the function to create the uniform distribution. This I will let you can try it later. So this is what I have. It takes in two variables A and B along with X, two constants A and B and X. And for any value of X in the range of A within A to B, it is going to give the magnitude as 1 by B minus A, and otherwise it's going to be X. You want to try? Please try this. Please key in this code. Key in this code. And then, like earlier, we will call the uniform distribution also for different values. Please try. Please try this. Sorry. Please try this. This is a uniform function for n in range. If x is less than a or an x is greater than b, then we are going to append it with 0, else we are appending it with the value. I'm sorry. Please try this and then call the uniform distribution for at least two different values of a and b and share the plot. This is the function. Afterwards, please call the function for different values and share the plot. Please try this. Sorry. Yes, and this is the uniform distribution. And now again, I am calling afterwards. I'm calling the uniform distribution for different values. And then when I try to plot, this is what I find. Why do you think the height is magnitude is less when the width is more? Why do you think? What is constant in all these three waveforms? One is uniform distribution, which is blue color, orange color, and green color. What is constant in all these three distributions? Very good. Area is constant. And how much is the area? How much is the area? 1. Very good. Very good. So we'll proceed. And similarly, I have the exponential function. You can try it later because I will anyway share the program. Now I want you to multiplication is another example. Please run this code and see what happens. You multiply the sign with itself. And so I am defining x1 as a sine function, x2 as x1 into x1. So I am squaring it and plot, and what's the result you get? This is a simple example. We are not having any function. It is just for multiplication. Please get the result. And what happens when you square a sign? What happens when we square a sign? What happens when we square a sign? Does it look like mod x? No, the answer is not right. Looks like mod x is fine, but it is not mod x. It's not mod x. What happens when we square the sign? Please tell me in terms of frequency. Does the frequency increase or decrease? Please plot both x1 and x2. Yes. So I don't know how many are trying. This is what we have. See the original sine wave, and this is the square. So now why we have put this is just to show that if I have a sine wave of some frequency, when I square it, the frequency doubles. Frequency doubles. So when I square the sine wave, the frequency doubles. So this is what we have. This is what we have. Okay, now now there is how to create. Now we have seen how to plot more than one function on the same plot. Now here what we are doing, we are going to have different plots. So I am having x1, x2, x3, x4, and one is sine, one is cos, cos into sine, cos into cos. So I'm having four different, and this is an example taken to show. Suppose I want each of them in a different location. So please try this command and tell me 2, 2 subplot PLT subplot 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Then each one is distinguished by 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Please try this, and I want someone to explain to me what is happening. What is happening in this command? What is happening here? So here we have 4 signals. X1, X2, X3, X4. Till now what we saw is we were plotting all of them one over the other in the same graph, and by itself it was assigning different colors. If of course if we want, we can assign different colors by giving in the keywords, but that's okay. You all can search and get it. Now this is an example how to draw them separate. I want x1 in one plot, x2 in another plot, x3 in another, and that. So when I want that, I use the same command plt.plot t comma x1, but I am creating 4 subplots 2 comma 2, and each one I am assigning, distinguishing it in this manner 1, 2, 3, 4. Please try this and share the result. This is just to have a different way of representing our result. And 2 comma 2 is just an example. You can have 1 comma 2, 2 comma 1, 3 comma 3, whatever you feel like. So then the same one single figure is split into lot of subplots, and within each you can draw whatever you want. Are you doing it? Please do it. What happens now? What happens now? Are you trying this? So now if I run this result, what I get is like this. This is my x1, x2, x3, x4. This is number 1. So this is one way of plotting different curves in different cells. You can try it. Exponentially decaying sinusoid we have already seen. Now this is the most important part that we have planned for today, and this is a function I have written for my derivative. Please type in. Okay, we have a photo here. Yes, very good, very good. Yes. For the same one, suppose I want to have it 1 comma 3. Let's take the same cell. Let's copy everything. and let us say instead of having it in this manner, let's change it. X1, X2, X3, and let us say I change it as I will have only X1, X2, X3, and say sine and cos X3 is say X1 into X2. Yes, X1 into X2. And now I am having only 3 signals to be plotted, 1, 2, 3. So let us see what happens if I do 1, 3, 1, 3. I'm deciding the grid. This remains constant everywhere. 1, 3, 1, 3. And in the first cell, I am in the first block, subplot, I'm plotting X1, then X2, then X3. Let's run it. Do you think you will get all the 3 curves, one beside the other or one below the other? Please tell me what happens. Am I going to get X1, X2, X3, one beside the other or one below the other? Do we get one beside or one below the other? Have you understood what is a subplot? Any doubt here? Yes, Shashank says he's getting it one beside the other. Anyone else has tried? So let us run this and see what happens. So 1, 3. So what I decided, I decide to have, I'm splitting my screen as 1, 3. And then the first one is the cos function. So I'm plotting X1. In the second one, I'm plotting X2. In the third one, X1 into X2. This is what I have. So this way, I can have any number 3, 3. Then I will use in all the subplots 3, 3, and I can have different figures plotted in different cells. Yes. So now let us look at, now we are creating a function to compute the derivative, differentiation of a function, to compute the derivative. So what does this function do? It takes the function is called my derivative. It takes x and y, x variable and y, and then I am trying to compute how many terms are there in n so that I know how to run the loop. Then I am computing dy by dx. Dy by dx, I'm initially initializing it to an empty array, and then can someone tell me what is happening in this delta x, x1 minus x0? Then I have the command delta x is given by x1 minus x0. What is this? What is happening here? Delta x is x1 minus x0. Then what I'm doing, for I in range n minus 1, and I am computing the value of y of I plus 1 minus y of I. So I am taking the difference and dividing by delta x. So delta y by delta x is what my slope is. And I compute the slope and I add it. I keep on increasing the array. And this is appending we have seen last time. Now when I do this, when I complete the loop, I will have one term less. So just for having the same length, I am appending it once again, though not correct. I am appending it. I'm repeating the last term once again, and then I am returning it. Please type in this whole code. The comment, what is there in the comment that we can avoid? At least type in this code. Please see and type in the code, because we are going to do derivative. We are going to take up some examples on differentiation. So please type in this code. Please type in the code. You can give any name. You can change the variable's name. You want some space to make it look. So this is the function. Yes, try this. Try typing the function for doing differentiation. We are writing a function for performing differentiation, and we are given an input sequence. So it takes the x and y. Please try this. Please let me know when you have completed typing in this code. Yes, have you done it? Have you done this? Then I try to call the function. I try to call the function. So then I'm defining my time. Then I am defining my y of t as a sine function. Then I am calling my derivative and I'm plotting the signal and the derivative. So let's run the earlier cell and let's run the next cell. And what we get now, what is the signal we are taking? We are taking the signal as sine and we are trying to differentiate it. So let us see what we get. This is my original signal sine and this is my derivative. The differentiated signal is in orange color. So is it a signal that is it something we already know? We have done it or done it by pen. You know the result. Only thing is now we have written a code to perform differentiation. Is it fine? This is the code for calling the function. Of course, it looks little lengthy, but we have time and we have y of t. And let us run it with the other signal. Instead of this, let me run it with 2 pi t. Sine function is sine 2 pi t. Then if I run, can someone tell me why is my original signal so low in amplitude and my differentiated signal so high in amplitude? I am doing a differentiation, but why has it become like this? Is there an error or is the result right? Is there an error or is the result right? Yes, sine omega t, the derivative is omega. So omega is 2 pi, so it got multiplied by 2 pi. That is why the magnitude has become higher. Good. I have only one student who is responding. That's fine. That's fine. Others, are they trying? Similarly, we have a function for integration. Similarly, we have a function for integration and this is it. What I'm doing in integral, once again, I have a function x, I have y, and then I have delta. One option I can do is I can send the file right now and then you will be able to run it. Should I do that? So that it saves you the time of typing. Shall I download and send the file immediately? Okay, not getting any response, so I will just walk through the code. So this is the function for integration. If you see, I start off with 0, and then I am computing the area. How do I get the area? The present value plus the previous value, I take the average, I multiply it by half, and then I multiply it by the width. So present value plus previous value, it's a rectangle. If I take it as a rectangle, and then I multiply it by half, and the average, and then multiply it by the delta x. So that is going to give me the area for that two samples. And I keep on adding the area. So I keep the previous value of the summation plus the present value, and I keep appending. This is what happens in integration. And then I'm calling my integral function. I call my integral function. I'm giving a cosine function, and I'm doing my integration. And this is what I have. My original function is my yes, I've given my original function as a weight of 5, and my integrated function is in orange. So this is what I have. So I can have a function I can integrate. Now you may wonder, why is it so important to do integration or differentiation? Because sine and cos you all know to integrate. But now let us try. Please do this. I use the same function. See now what I'm having. I'm defining three constants a, b, and c, and my function is a y square plus by plus c. So a y square plus by plus c, and what is my integration? I'm doing my integration from 0 to 3. Please tell me what is the answer for this. What is the answer for this? A y square plus by plus c, and I'm doing an integration, and then I am, how do I get the value? I want the area under the curve. So this is plotting the function. I'm not plotting here. I am not plotting. I'm simply computing the integration. And how do I get the value of the integral? So I will just take a small example here. Suppose a is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I tell print a0, what will I get if I print a0? If I print a0, what will I get? I'll get 1. So I get the first value because my index in Python starts from 0. If I want the last value, what should I do? I put a minus 1. A minus 1 will give me the last value. If I want the second last value, I do a minus 2. If I print a minus 2, I get the second last value. So this is what we are doing here. We are having the function defined by a y square plus by plus c, and I'm giving it to an integration. My function is defined in the limit 0 to 3. It has computed the area. I only want the area. So area under the curve. So after computing the area, the last value. What is the last value? Integral minus 1. So I get the area under the curve. Please verify if this answer is right. Please verify if you get the same answer when you integrate it. We are trying to do 2y square plus 3y plus c, and we are integrating in the limits. We are having f of y as 2y square plus 3y plus 4, and this is integrated in the limits 0 to 3. And tell me what's the answer. F of y is 2y square plus 3y plus 4, and I'm integrating in the limit 0 to 3. What's the answer you're getting? Is it tallying with our code? Here we have got the answer is 45. Please check it. Do we get the same answer? Anyone trying? So all these functions, a y square, fx, and sine and cos, everyone knows to integrate. But suppose you are asked to integrate the Gaussian function, you will not be able to do it because this is not a function that can be easily integrated. So let us see what happens when I try to integrate the Gaussian function. I already had a function for defining my Gaussian, and I also have a function for doing integration, and then I'm trying to plot here. So this is my function and this is my integral. And you just see when I integrate my Gaussian function, the sum goes to 1. Because it's a probability distribution function, it goes to 1. Let me change my mu and sigma. If I'm and then let me run it. Say mu is 1 and let us say sigma, I retain it as 3. Let's run it and see what happens now. This is my function. No matter what I change to mu and sigma, the area of the Gaussian curve is always 1. So mu is 1, say sigma is also 1. Let me run it, and this is it. This is the Gaussian distribution curve, and the area is always 1. Now let's take, now here we are trying to compute the product of two sinusoids. So I am taking cos and cos. Now please watch out this. You remember I gave you an analogy. Let us say I find the product of two cos. I'm just trying to find the product. Let us say sine 2 pi t cos 2 pi t. I'm finding the multi product, and then I am multiplying it, and after multiplying I'm integrating it, and I'm plotting the result as well as I'm trying to compute the final value of integration. Let me run it. Sine and cos I run, and I want you to explain the result. I want you to explain the result. Let us say I run it. Sine 2 pi t cos 2 pi t, I am multiplying, I'm integrating, and I'm seeing the result. I'm getting the value of 0. What does it mean? Cos 2 pi t, sin 2 pi t, in the interval of 0 to 1, I am multiplying and I'm finding the area under the curve. When I multiply and I find the area under the curve, the area is 0. What does it mean? This is my sine, this is my cos, this is the product, and when I do the area under the curve, it is 0. So what does it mean? Recollect the theory that we had discussed. I am integrating the product of two functions and the area is 0. What does it mean? The two signals are
orthogonal.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ambika. Yes. So it is other. Now let us say instead of cos, I keep one as cos and keep the second also as cos, but now I make it as, let us say 4. So one is cos 2 pi t, another is cos 4 pi t. Let us run and see whether it is still orthogonal. Is it orthogonal? This is the product. And the area under the curve, it is 0. Is it orthogonal? Cos 2 pi t, cos 4 pi t. Is it orthogonal or no? Yes. Yes, it is orthogonal. So cos 2 pi t, cos 4 pi t. Let us say cos 6 pi t, cos 2 and cos 6. Is it orthogonal? Let us see. When I do the integration, it is 0. Cos and sine. So cos and sine is orthogonal. Cos is orthogonal. Cos 2 pi is orthogonal with cos 3 pi, cos 6 pi, and so on. What does it mean? All cosine functions and their harmonics are orthogonal. And because these are orthogonal, that is why you have the Fourier series representation, because I can represent any periodic signal in terms of the orthogonal. I know not all will be able to follow, but even if I have few students who are able to appreciate this concept, the analogy that we had taken, any point in space can be represented in terms of the three orthogonal coordinates x, y, z. Exactly similar, any periodic signal can be represented in terms of sine and cos because they are orthogonal. If they had not been orthogonal, we would not be having the Fourier series at all. So because of this orthogonality only we get. And now suppose I put same. Suppose I put both the signals as same, cos 2 pi t, cos 2 pi t. When I run, what will I get? I will get the power of the signal. What is power? Because it's periodic signal, power of the signal, power is 0.5. So that is it. And then last one, this I will just, this was for my reference. I will delete it. Yeah. And now this is something you can type it if possible. Otherwise, this is a new function I am trying to import. I am importing an audio file, and what I am trying to do here is I am defining again time, and I am defining the time interval between the two signals, and then I'm having a rate, and then I'm taking a frequency, and I am using this audio function, which is an inbuilt function in my in Python. And then why I'm doing this, I want to hear the sine wave. And what's the signal I am generating? I am generating a sine wave of a frequency, sine 2 pi ft. Sine 2 pi ft. And what is my f? F is 800 hertz. So I want to generate a sine wave of 800 hertz, and then I want to hear it. So let us run this code. Please type it out if you can from ipython.display import audio, and let us say n is 30,000. It is some number that I decide for this time, t length space. This is the delta time, delta t, and 1 by delta t is my rate and frequency and signal, and then the audio. This is a new command, the audio. What does audio do? If I give the signal and if I give the rate, it is going to convert it to an audio file which we can hear. Please type it. You will all like this command. It takes 2 minutes. Print is not required. This also is not required, but please type 4 lines of code. The most important line is from ipython.display import audio. Please do it. And then we will try running the code with different frequencies and see what happens. Please type it. Everyone, please type. Even if you have missed out few earlier examples, doesn't matter. Please type this. Have you typed in? Are you typing it? Are you typing? Yes, please run it. Please run the code. What's the output you got? Now let's play this. Yes. So this is, we are hearing a sine wave of 800 hertz. Just change the frequency to 100 hertz, 50 hertz, and see whether you are able to hear it. Please run it for 50 hertz and see whether you can hear it. I included this just for fun. Are you hearing it? Let us say you change the frequency to 2 kilohertz. 2 kilohertz, run it. Run it and then hear it. Do you hear it? And as a homework, yes, how many of you are trying it? Any others are trying and able to appreciate this? This is just for fun. Just for fun. Just to hear the sine wave. Just to hear the sine. Yes. Try to change it to say 4 kilohertz and then run it and then try to hear it. 400 hertz. Hear it. So, are you capable of hearing the frequency sound and then telling what frequency it belongs to? Can now someone tell me what is the frequencies that the human ear can hear? What are the frequencies up to which the human ear can hear? Yes, any answers? What do you think is the frequencies that we can hear? We human beings are capable of hearing. Any idea? What are the frequencies that we can hear? And I have one more example on audio. This also you can try. Here what we have is, yes, 20 to 20 kilohertz. Yes. So here we have, I have different frequencies, 240, 270 and so on. And I'm creating a sine wave for each of these frequencies and I'm putting them one beside the other. I'm using a horizontal stack. I'm putting them one beside the other, S1, S2, S3 and so on. And let me run it and let me hear it. So what we have done is we have tried to play the different notes of music. So you can check out the frequencies. It starts with the note and it ends the 7 notes of music. And finally the next slab is the double of the initial frequency. You start with 240, 10 to 480. You can try playing. You can compose your own music by playing the different frequencies of different duration. And this is just for fun. But today's focus was on integration, differentiation, orthogonal functions. So we know to integrate, we have a program for integration. Please remember in future, in your various courses, you will come across integration and you will not be able to integrate. All functions are not easily integrable. And when you come across such a situation, you have a ready program that you have written yourself for integration or differentiation. It helps. So any doubt, and you can just try this audio program for fun. So we stop here for today, and tomorrow you will have a quiz. I will share the quiz based on whatever we have covered now. So you can type the code, you can run the code and get the result on whatever we have covered for 3 days. So the quiz will be launched at 10 o'clock tomorrow and you can take it up. Closing time, I will easily give you 4 or 5 hours, but the actual duration will be, it will be online. It will be a Google form. The student coordinators will share it with you all. I will be preparing the form and it will either be multiple choice or you will have to run the code and type in the answer. So sometimes I will give a short answer. Sometimes I may also ask you to do it and upload the screenshot of the answer. Let us see. I may not put that option. Depends on what is the question, but whatever we have covered till today, you'll have the quiz tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll not have the class. We meet again for the next class on Monday. We'll meet on Monday. We will try building a small circuit and try to see the output, because it's analog signal processing. Maybe a simple RC circuit and how to see the output, and then we'll relate it to the theory that we read. I think the focus on Monday is going to be on convolution. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.